Welcome to my overview of the graphic novels Paper Girls. So, Paper Girls is a comic book series put out by Image Comics, and it was by Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang, with colors by Matt Wilson and letters by Jared K. Fletcher. Right, so that's all here in the... Okay, it was released in floppies, obviously, but then it was put together in these three deluxe editions. My numbers are out of order. 1, 3, 2. I'm going to go through these, and we're going to look at some of the art. Amazon Prime just released the show, the season 1, and I watched the first episode yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. So I thought I would pull these off my shelves and do an overview. So let's go ahead and look at book 1. So first of all, the colors that they use in these are gorgeous, right? So this series, without spoilers, harkens back to the 80s and is a little bit about, so is that a spoiler? Time travel. Okay, but you can see the gorgeous colors, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to flip through some of the art, and I'm going to be just jumping so that you can get an idea of some of the great art. All right, that was book 1. So the deluxe editions comes with extras. So if you buy that, you can get some great extra art and, you know, some sketch. So this version is well worth buying. Right, so let's go ahead and look at book 2. So book 2 has a silver kind of foil cover. Look, it even shines. Right, the silver, beautiful foil cover. I'm going to have to say that I read this. I didn't read it in the floppies, so I read this. I bought the first 2 volumes, and the third one wasn't out yet, and so I went through this so fast. It's such a great read. So if you know Brian K. Vaughan, if you've read any of his other stuff, like Why the Last Man, or things aren't called, Saga, right? And then, of course, I believe he did Runaways, right? That was a really, really good series, too. But anyways, if you've read any of those, you know they're page turners, right? And so when I got to the end of this volume, I was like, because the third volume wasn't out, and I didn't want to go out and buy all the floppies, right? So I had to wait. So I devoured these. So I highly recommend that you read them. And then this is the final volume, book 3. So this one is done in white and pink, but there's still some foil there. So there's the back. So this is a series that I highly, highly recommend. It's got great and consistent art throughout. So as you could see from the beginning, right, the art was a little bit cartoony, and I like more realistic art. I really like, artists like Alex Ross, right? But once I got into this, it totally fit the color scheme, the story. The art really does accentuate this, and it definitely adds to the story. So you'll get used to the art. You'll actually even really, really appreciate it. So I recommend that you give Paper Girls a try, and I recommend that you buy the deluxe editions from Image Comics. Hi, I'm back again. It's a few days later, and I finished the show on Amazon Prime, and I wanted to do a little bit of a comparison. So the show doesn't cover the whole series, right? It ends on a cliffhanger, and I want to say that the show is well worth watching, right? So if you haven't read the comics, you can jump into the show. You won't be confused. In fact, I think the way they flesh out the characters, the 4 girls, they give each girl development. I think they do that very well. The actresses who play the young girls, they all do an excellent job. They really do differentiate each character. They really build them up. Also, the actresses who play the 2 older versions of 2 of the girls they were excellent as well. Like, you really start to care for their characters, and I highly recommend the show. If you want to read the comics and then watch the show, which is what I did, I think you're going to be fine, because, you know, even though you're going to understand everything that's going on, the show changes a lot and makes it fresh, and not in a bad way. And so I think you can totally read the comics and then watch the show, and you'll be fine. In fact, you could read volume 1 of the comics, maybe some of volume 2, and then you could move into the show if you like. You don't have to read the entire series. So, like I said, they ended on a cliffhanger, so I hope they'll bring back a season 2 of the show. You know, maybe you would prefer to watch the show now and then dip into the comics later, and you could totally do that, because, like I said, they made changes, and I really think that the way they fleshed out each character really complements what the writer did in the book. And I actually think you should do both, right? Because the comics, the art is so interesting and good and colorful, and I love how they took that aesthetic to the openings of the show. So you'll see the same color scheme and other colors like it used to open up each episode of the show. So I highly recommend the show. I haven't checked the reviews online. I'm going to do that later. But I do recommend the show, and I recommend the comics highly. And please leave what you feel about either or both in the comments. Thanks again for watching.